This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stacy Yarborough. I'm the North Haven Town Clerk. And pursuant to the North Haven Town Charter, Chapter 9, Section 903, the Town of North Haven Special Town Meeting will now come to order. Again, I am the Town Clerk, and it is my duty to convene the town meeting, which is a special town meeting for the purposes of tonight. It is 5:33. Now, before we proceed, we must elect a meeting moderator. The moderator is nominated and elected by the members of the town meeting. It's the moderator's job to bring before all the meetings all of the different items of the warning and to assist in obtaining the objective of the meeting while ensuring the rights of individual voters, those who want to be heard at the meeting. The moderator's duties also include helping any member of the town meeting who seeks clarification and or advice with regard to parliamentary procedure. Further, when it's time to vote on any issue tonight, including voting for our meeting moderator, please be aware to vote, you must be an elector. To be considered an elector of the town, one must have been a registered voter in the town at the time of the most recent election, or one who pays to the town on an assessment of property of not less than $1,000, and that has to be on the most recent grand list assessment date. As well, you have to be a citizen of the United States and 18 years of age or older. This regulation will be enforced during any time we take a vote, and if you're unsure if you are an elector, you can check with me and I can check your status. All righty, I'm going to open the floor now for nominations for a meeting moderator. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Teresa Ranciano Feely.
All righty. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And that was Ms. Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations for meeting moderator? Hearing none, I'm going to put this to a vote. All in favor of Teresa Ranciano Feely as our special town meeting moderator, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by saying nay. Alrighty, I now declare Teresa Ranciano Feely as the moderator of this evening's meeting.
Thank you. Welcome. As you know, my name is Teresa Ranciano Feely. The town clerk will now read the warning call of tonight's special meeting.
Thank you. Please be advised that on the first day of June 2023, the following legal notice called the warning of meeting was published pursuant to Connecticut State Statute. A special town meeting of the electors and citizens qualified to vote in any town meetings of the town of North Haven, Connecticut will be held on Monday, June 26, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. in the upstairs conference room of the North Haven Memorial Town Hall, 18 Church Street, North Haven, Connecticut, for the following purpose: to consider and act upon a resolution by the Board of Selectmen recommending to the town meeting an amendment to Section 163-3 of the Public School Security Supernumerary Program Ordinance at Chapter 163 of the Ordinances of the Town of North Haven, so as to extend the program term for 5 years to remain in effect through fiscal year 2028. That was dated on the first day of June by the three selectmen.
Okay, the town clerk will now read the only item of the special town meeting agenda.
To consider and act upon a resolution by the Board of Selectmen recommending to the town meeting an amendment to Section 163-3 of the Public School Security Supernumerary Program Ordinance at Chapter 163 of the Ordinances of the Town of North Haven, to extend the program term for 5 years to remain in effect through fiscal year 2028.
Resolved, an amendment to Sections 163-3 of the Public School Security Supernumerary Program Ordinance at Chapter 163 of the Ordinances of the Town of North Haven to extend the program term for 5 years to remain in effect through fiscal year 2028 is hereby adopted. The amendment shall be published in a newspaper having a circulation in the Town of North Haven and shall be effective 15 days after publication. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now we come to the point of the meeting when we open the floor for discussion for the agenda item. For any discussion, anyone who wishes to speak will get a chance to comment before anyone will be called a second time. You must come forward before that microphone. State your name and address before you begin to speak. Discussion is limited to only this item. We ask that you limit your questions and discussion to no longer to 5 to 10 minutes, and you can have another turn after everyone else has. So is there any discussion for our only agenda item of the night? First Selectman Frida. Here, sure. You switch.
It seems hard to believe that it was 5 years ago last night that we had the town meeting and brought forward this initiative, this supernumerary program. During that meeting, we remember that there were 4 people who voted against it, but the majority voted for it. So I want to give you, in my mind, a summary of the last 5 years. This has been an outstanding program. It has been a program that has been widely accepted by the school system, the management of the school system, the faculty, the teachers, the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles of those students who are in this program, or in the schools that this program supports. We have the support of the Police Commission, who's here tonight. We have the support of the Board of Selectmen, who brought this to the town meeting. This is a program that we're asking for approval to renew for another 5 years. The components of the program have not changed. Our police chief is here, Patrick is here, Patrick Stirk, our superintendent of schools, should there be any questions. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we refrain from oversimplifying things because we are a government, but this program has 100% acceptance in the community, from what I could see. In these 5 years, I probably talked to about 7,000 people on this program itself, in addition to the other programs or services that we offer. There has not been one person, one parent, one student, one school faculty member or part of the administration that is against this program. So I'm requesting that this town meeting renew this program for another 5 years. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, Third Selectman Buemi.
Yes, good evening. Sally Buemi, 5 Blossom Drive. I was pleased to join my fellow members of the Board of Selectmen in unanimously recommending the extension of this program, this supernumerary program, to the town meeting. I supported it back in 2018. I did recommend some changes which were adopted. And I was very pleased about that. I also have had the opportunity mostly to talk with teachers at various school events that I've attended over the years, and they are very, very supportive and appreciative of the program. I'm really very happy to see that 4 of the police commissioners are here, because really this supernumerary program, which has its own line item, in our budget, in the police department budget, really affects 2 departments, the police department, which oversees the program, but it also affects the Board of Ed. I'm a little disappointed that no Board of Ed members are here, because ultimately it is the Board of Education that is responsible for security of our children and staff. This program was put in to enhance that security. And again, I supported it. But here we are 5 years later, and I think that it would be a good idea perhaps to hear from the police chief who is here, and perhaps he can give us some details on how he sees the benefits so that the people at home and here can understand the value of this program. So I was wondering, Chief, would you be willing to give some of your assessment of the first 5 years of this program to the folks?
Chief, step on up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I won't need any follow-up. I
Okay,
just want to hear
thanks.
the chief. Good.
Thank you, Sally, for that opportunity. So first and foremost, 5 years ago, this program was established for primarily the safety and security of the students, the staff, and the faculty, and it's been a great success. That's still the primary goal of this program, but some of the ancillary benefits of the program is the relationships that these police officers, the students who otherwise, the vast majority of them otherwise would not have ever met or talked to a police officer, that was established. So those relationships are great. The staff, the faculty, those relationships as well. Superintendent Stirk is also here, and we've been working together, and I think our relationship, professional relationship, has been well established. And I know Mr. Frieda gets calls and emails from other CEOs of municipalities throughout the state, unfortunately, after tragedies occurred throughout the country. I get the same calls from my peers throughout the state and beyond the state as far as police chiefs and how we were able to establish this program of school resource officers at the supernumerary level in every single school. So it's a model program that is well respected and looked upon from a lot of people, and we're really proud that we're able to pull this off. Do you have any questions?
Okay, yeah.
Explain what a supernumerary is to people who might not.
Okay, yeah, before we let you go, if there's any questions, direct them up here, and then we'll ask the chief. Yeah, I know, you were reiterating.
So a supernumerary police officer is a sworn police officer who is certified through the state of Connecticut through the Post Council that only works in North Haven. The supernumerary program by this ordinance only works and is compensated hourly when school is in session, providing school security in our public schools.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the chief before I let him sit down? From anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Jen Caldwell.
Hi. So I have a couple of questions, and in all honesty, I was one of the 4 that voted against moving forward with the ordinance. I felt like at the time that it should have gone out to referendum, and I had some concerns about the impact of having resource officers in the schools because of the research that there can be a negative impact for students, specifically minority students and students with behavioral emotional disorders. And having worked for ACEs for many years, I had experienced that when we had kids that were having, an emotional or behavioral outburst. We'd be trying to de-escalate, and it was not to any police officer's fault, but just seeing a police officer walk in, with their uniform would escalate the situation. So that was my concern at the time. I felt like we should, that there should have been a little more discussion, especially with the Board of Ed. And I guess my questions are going to be really for the Board of Ed. I've done a lot of research. There are reports through the Every Town for Gun Safety, which came out of Newtown. And they talk a lot about really the best ways to increase school safety is within the school district in terms of creating environments where kids feel safe to report things. And 95% of kids who return to schools, either they're currently in school or they're returning to a school, have told someone else that they are planning something. So that ability to be able to, for them to feel safe to report is important. But some of the specifics when they look at issues around having, we call them supernumeraries, sometimes in the research they talk about school resource officers, are increases in out-of-school suspension, expulsion, and arrests and things like that, especially on the secondary level. Have you guys in the school district, and this is really something that I would like to see our school board spend more time on, not necessarily the police department, because you're implementing the program as it should be, but the school district or the school board looking at numbers in terms of, have we seen any changes in some of those factors that can be negative factors, especially on the secondary level? So are you guys monitoring any of that? And what does that data look like?
Okay, I'll have to have, do
Yep.
you have any more questions for
That's
the
it.
superintendent? Okay, could you please come up, Superintendent?
Thank you. So yes, we are monitoring those, and unfortunately, some of those.
Identify, wait, just
I'm Patrick
for the-
Sturck,
for the-
Superintendent of Schools. Thank you, sorry. Unfortunately, some of those numbers have increased as a result of, we believe, the pandemic and coming off of that. There was no immediate impact to expulsion suspensions back in 2018 when the program was first instituted, but upon our return from the pandemic, coming back to full-time in person, there's some mental health issues and some concerns from elementary through 12th grade, and I do not attribute any of them to the SRO program, but it is something we're monitoring. Sure.
Sure. Yeah, get back up there though, Jen, and Patrick, you just stay there. Thank you.
So I guess the question would be, is that something that the school board will monitor on a monthly basis? Or I haven't seen any public conversation on those numbers. And, you know, with the three that I mentioned, there's also chronic absenteeism, and there are a lot of specific recommendations on how to address that. So that, you know, is there the possibility to make everyone feel like we're doing everything we can for school to bring about safety in our schools? That would be something that could be reviewed on a regular basis so the public knows, you know, this is what's happening and this is what we're doing to address it.
Yes, of course, that could be something that's mentioned in more regularity at board meetings, and not simply the SRO program, but how we increase mental health support in our schools, the programs we've subscribed to upon our return from the pandemic. For sure, we can be more prescriptive about that.
Thank you. Any more questions for the superintendent? No, seeing no hands. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this item tonight? Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Frederick Rodriguez, 27 Westview Road. My primary concern here is that the Board of Education members haven't had enough time to discuss it. So when you go back to the meetings, you haven't seen a healthy discussion. And it's also kind of sad that none of the elected board members are even here tonight to support the program at Youngstown.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, seeing no hands, we are going to go straight to voting on the resolution tonight. So all in favor of this, our only agenda item of the night, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Okay, the motion passes. As there exists no further business to be considered tonight, I hereby declare this special town meeting adjourned. The minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public by the town clerk as soon as possible. Thanks and have a good night. And the end time is?
5:50.
5:50. Perfect.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.